Hi, welcome back to The Well. Today we're going to be talking about being a wise woman and specifically the art of being quiet, which is knowing when to speak, where to speak, how to speak, or just simply when to be quiet. The topic of being a wise woman will never expire in Christianity. It never goes out of style. And I think it's something that can help us become better wives, better mothers, better friends, just overall a wise woman. So, what do the scriptures have to say? Well, in part, it has a lot to say. And I think that's one of the challenges in learning how to be wise or just improving in becoming wiser, that we want to cover such a large territory and then we go through all of Proverbs 31, which I have done on my channel. I'll link that. Let's focus on literally one skill, the skill of learning when to be quiet. It's no secret that our tongues, and for many of us, including myself, our faces get us into trouble. And how many times could I have just avoided a bad argument or just really created a better environment in my home had I chosen my words wisely? The Bible speaks against being a contentious woman. And contentious means someone who is given to arguing or to provoke arguing, someone who's ready to battle. And it says that it would be better to live on a small corner on the roof than to live with this type of woman. And it says a contentious woman is like a continual drip, drip, which at the end of the day, no one listens to. Proverbs surely has a lot to say about being wise. And I want to share a few Proverbs with you. And I know if I say, oh, I'll leave the references, you might not get a chance to go back and read these. So I want to share them with you because it's all centered upon the idea that even a fool, when he's quiet, he could even be considered wise. And how important it is to sometimes just simply stay quiet and just say nothing. Proverbs 17:28 says, even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Proverbs 9:13, if you don't remember any of them, remember this one. It is very strong, and it's directed specifically to a foolish woman. It says, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knows nothing. Proverbs 10:19 says, when there are many words, transgression is unavoidable, but he who restrains his lips is wise. Proverbs 17:27 says, he who restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Proverbs 21:23 says, he who guards his mouth and his tongue guards his soul from troubles. Proverbs 29:20 says, do you see a man who is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than him. The idea of restraining our words, remaining silent, choosing not to speak often can be associated with wisdom. So then today, if you want to say, I want to become wiser, I want to be considered a wise woman, well, let's examine two women in the Bible who specifically chose when to speak, when not to speak, and when they did speak, let's see how wise their words were. The first wise woman we're going to consider today is Abigail. Her story is found in 1 Samuel chapter 25. And to give you an overview of this woman, what we know about her, she was married to a man named Nabal, who literally, his name is fool. He lacks understanding. What do we know about Abigail? Well, this is the description the Bible gives her. Abigail was a woman of good understanding and beautiful appearance. Her husband was harsh and evil in his doings. Nabal, who again his name means fool, was very rich, and he got into an altercation with King David, mind you. King David made a request of Nabal, very reasonable, and Nabal just threw it to the ground, just like, who are you? Who's David? Who are his men? Like, I just basically dealt very harshly and foolishly with King David. This made King David furious, and he was going to come up against the entire household of Nabal with slaughter. He was going to destroy Nabal's household. So one of the servants of Nabal came to Abigail and spoke to her. And I want you to see the words that the servant used in speaking to Abigail. Now therefore, know and consider what you will do. For harm is determined against our master and against all his household. For he is such a scoundrel that no one can speak to him. Consider what you're going to do. That's part of this. If I'm going to be wise, if I'm going to know when to speak and when not to speak, it's considering, right? The classic. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. Well, that would require time, and I don't have time. I just say it. No, that's the total opposite. We want to consider what we're going to do. Verse 18 says, "Then Abigail made haste." She did not waste any time. There was no time to waste. So maybe you think being a woman who chooses her words wisely is equal to a woman who doesn't take action. But absolutely not the case. Abigail made haste to prepare food, to go and meet with King David and have a conversation with him. She was going to go speak with him, but she surely wasn't going to tell Nabal about this. And she said to her servants, "Go on before me, see that I'm coming after you." But she did not tell her husband. And I'm sorry if his name is Nabal, but I'm going to keep saying Nabal. She did not tell him. She didn't tell him what she was going to do. Imagine what that would have done. Now, I might lose you if I read the whole dialogue of everything she said to King David, but if you really want to improve in choosing your words wisely, I suggest you read, and it goes from verse 24 to 31 of 1 Samuel 25. But just to give you like a few things that I saw that she did in this moment of having the audience of King David and really pleading her case for not just Nabal, but her household. She requested humbly to speak. She sought mercy. She gave him her present. She asked for forgiveness, and she appealed to his better side. One of the statements that she used, I just picked out one, and I'll read it to you. Verse 18 says, "Please forgive the trespass of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make for my Lord an enduring house, because my Lord fights the battles of the Lord, and evil is not found in you throughout your days." On one hand, she's kind of laying this on pretty thick, because David is on his way to slaughter. David is not thinking clearly, but she's reminding him, like, in a very wise way, remember that you are called to serve the Lord's purposes. You are called to fight the Lord's battles, and there's no evil found in you. What wisdom. Again, she was a woman of good understanding, good perception. She was wise. In a preaching once, my sister spoke on this passage, and she summarized it like this: "Don't lose your cool for a fool." And I think that's the best way to put it. In so many ways, Abigail was alerting King David, don't lose your cool over Nabal. Don't lose sight of what God has called you to do. Don't go down to his level, because Nabal, he is a fool, and let the Lord deal with him. But not you, King David. Rise above this. You're better than this. David's response to her was very pleasing. He says, "And blessed is your advice." He's recognizing her words, her counsel. Blessed is your good counsel. Blessed is your advice. Blessed are your wise words to me as a king, because you have kept me this day from coming to bloodshed and from avenging myself with my own hand. He admits that thanks to Abigail, he's not going to do that which he set out to do in anger. And verse 35, this is David still speaking again, says, "Go up in peace to your house. See, I have heeded your voice and respected your person." How amazing it could be to change the course of what someone else does. That with my wise advice, my wise counsel, my wise words, without making haste, she acted quickly, but it didn't mean that she just said the first thing that came to mind. For a second time, we see in Abigail that she chooses the moment for which she should speak. It says that Nabal was drinking, and basically he was drunk. Let me summarize it to you. He was drunk. He was having a party. Abigail was not about to tell him what happened at that moment. Abigail went to Nabal. There he was feasting like the feast of a king, and his heart was merry, for he was drunk. Therefore, she told him nothing. She didn't say anything about what happened at that specific moment. Stay with me, because we'll see that she does, but not at that moment. Not when he's drunk. Literally emphasizing that she said she didn't say a little, she didn't say much, she didn't insinuate, "Oh, wait till I tell you. Wait till I tell you who I ran into. Wait till you find out." She knew, I'm not even bringing this up right now. Then the Bible tells us, "So it was in the morning when the wine had gone from Nabal, and his wife had told him these things." I need to mention to you that she did tell him. Again, this isn't a message of, you know what, just keep it to yourself, act like nothing's wrong. Being wise isn't just being quiet, but is learning when is the right time to speak. And when you do speak, it's knowing what to say. It's seeking maybe guidance from God before you go out and have that conversation. Asking God to prepare the person you're going to have the conversation with. Even asking God for an opportunity to have the conversation. Then it happened. After about 10 days, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. In reading this passage, for so long, I was like, I would not go and speak on behalf of Nabal. But this was so much greater than Nabal. It was her whole household, her servants, all the men in her house. So she didn't just plead for Nabal, she pleaded for her household. And you see how God then took care of Nabal for her. She didn't have to fight against him. Literally, God took care of him. The second woman that I'm going to talk about now is literally one of probably my favorite. Okay, you know what? I'm going to call her my favorite woman in the Bible. Anybody who knows me knows I talk about her all the time and how God has ministered so much to my life personally and is still doing it to this day through her story. Yes, if you know me, you guessed it. It's the Shunamite woman. And her story is found in 2 Kings chapter 4. I think this is like the 4th Bible teaching I do in a year that references this woman. Maybe the 5th. There's so many lessons we can learn from her, but to keep it to the point of knowing when to be quiet, it's trying to grow and become a wiser woman in just this one skill, the art of being quiet. Let's look at how she chose when to speak and what to say. So a quick recap of her story. She is described as an important woman, which can be also translated as a wealthy woman, a great woman. She's a woman of influence. She is a one-of-a-kind kind of woman. We do know that she was barren and that her husband was very old, which means that he would not last that much longer and she was going to need an heir to all her belongings because she was very rich. I'm going to say she was very old herself because her reaction to the prophet's words were like, what? A son? Not to get into that, I'm just saying, I know she was advanced in age also. Back to the point. The son, when he's about, 8 to 11 years old, people suspect he dies like within a day. He's sick. He goes to his mother. He's gone. So just like Abigail, she does not make haste. She sends a message to her husband saying, send me one of the young servants. Send me a donkey. I'm going to see the man of God. She did communicate what she needed from him. However, when he says, why are you going to meet him? Like, he's confused. He thinks maybe she's going there for some kind of a custom or ritual, but she's like, it's fine. Honestly, you could say she lied because she surely didn't address what was going on. But the truth is, it's not time. There's no time to stop and have a conversation. And what if her husband comes up with a different plan? Like, in her heart, she knows she cannot make haste. She needs to go see the man of God. It's like you have a product and there's a manufacturer's guarantee. And she's like, I'm taking this back to the manufacturer. I need to go talk to the person who gave this to me so that this person can fix it. As she's approaching the prophet Elisha on Mount Carmel, Elisha sees her coming and he doesn't know what's wrong with her, but he sends ahead his servant Gehazi. When Gehazi reaches her, he asks her, is everything well? How's the boy? How's everything? She says, it is well. For a second time, this woman does not answer the question. She's not saying. Because once again, I need to talk to the person who can resolve this for me. I simply see it as a practical choice. She wasn't going to spend time, possibly waste energy, to talk to someone who cannot fix this. What is the lesson we can learn? There's some things we have to talk strictly to God about. Of course she was going to talk to her husband at some point, but in that moment, it was an emergency. There was no time. Talking to the servant of the prophet, it's not a bad thing, but it's like maybe you talking to your pastor when your pastor can't fix it. Your leaders can't fix it. You need to go to God because this is like an emergency. But as soon as she reaches the prophet, you better believe that she let it out. And she let it out in such a personal way. She came to him and she asked 2 questions, very bold questions. She said, did I ask you for a son? Number 2, didn't I say, do not deceive me? Were those the wisest words? Probably not. But in the context of what's happening, the prophet understood. When you talk to God openly and honestly in your moment of distress, He understands you. Should you probably come back later and apologize? I would say so, but that's a side note. The point is that both of these women teach us that there is a time and a place to speak. And when we do speak, we need to speak with wisdom, with wise words. Now, how can we learn wisdom? Reading through the Proverbs. That's one great way we can do that. Also, examining the lives of other wise women. These are two, Abigail and the Shunamite women. But the Bible's full of other wise women. And also, observing wise women in our lives, how they handle situations, or even how foolish women handle situations. It is our job to build up our homes, to speak with character, but wisely, to be direct, but to be kind. So thank you for watching, supporting this channel, Together at the Well. I hope you keep coming back for more teachings. And guess what? I'm going to have a follow-up to this because this teaching was about shutting your lips. Well, the next teaching is going to be called Shut the Door. So I hope you catch that, and I'll check you next time. God bless you. Bye.